In the quiet, sun-drenched fields of Domremy, a small village in northeastern France, a girl named Joan began to dream. Born in 1412 to a peasant family, her early life was marked by the simplicity of rural existence. She spent her days tending to sheep, weaving, and helping her parents. Yet beneath the surface of this pastoral life, Joan was destined for something far greater than the confines of her village. She was not just a girl of the earth, she was a girl of the spirit, filled with an unquenchable fire that would one day ignite a nation. Joan's formative years were shaped by the tumultuous backdrop of the 100 Years' War, a protracted conflict between England and France that had left her homeland ravaged and divided. The war had not only sown discord among the nobility, but had also plunged the common people into despair. The English had captured much of northern France, and the French crown was in disarray. It was during this chaotic period that Joan began to experience visions which she described as divine guidance. At the age of 13, she reported seeing a vision of St. Michael, accompanied by St. Catherine and St. Margaret, who urged her to take up the cause of her country and lead the French to victory. These visions were not mere figments of a young girl's imagination. They were a clarion call that resonated deep within her soul. Joan believed she was chosen by God to fulfill a mission, one that would require immense courage and unwavering faith. The messages she received were clear. She was to support Charles VII, the Dauphin of France, and help him reclaim his throne from the English invaders. The weight of this divine mandate pressed heavily upon her young shoulders, but it also filled her with a sense of purpose that she could not ignore. At the age of 16, Joan made the bold decision to leave her village and pursue her destiny. Armed with little more than her faith and the conviction of her visions, she journeyed to Vaucouleurs, a nearby stronghold loyal to Charles. There she met Robert de Baudricourt, a local captain, and implored him to take her to the Dauphin. Initially met with skepticism and ridicule, Joan's determination was unwavering. She insisted that she could save France and that the Dauphin would recognize her significance. After a series of tests to assess her character and resolve, Baudricourt reluctantly agreed to escort her to Charles. As Joan entered the court of Charles VII, she was acutely aware of the skepticism that surrounded her. The nobility, accustomed to the politics of war and strategy, viewed her as a mere peasant girl with delusions of grandeur. Yet when she approached Charles, she recognized him instantly, a detail that astonished those present. She spoke to him with conviction, reiterating her divine mission and the necessity of his coronation at Reims, the traditional site for French kings. Joan's unwavering belief in her purpose began to sway those around her, and Charles, desperate for a miracle, decided to trust her. With the blessing of the Dauphin, Joan donned armor and took command of a small army. The sight of a young woman leading men into battle was unprecedented and stirred a mix of admiration and disbelief. Yet it was not her gender that defined her leadership. It was her charisma, her faith, and her unwavering belief in the righteousness of her cause. Joan inspired her soldiers, instilling in them a sense of hope that had long been extinguished. They rallied to her side, emboldened by her presence and the belief that they were fighting under divine protection. Joan's first significant military engagement came at the Siege of Orléans in 1429, a crucial stronghold for the French. The city was on the brink of surrender, and morale was at an all-time low. Joan arrived in Orléans, her mere presence igniting a spark of determination among the beleaguered defenders. She led a series of daring assaults against the English forces, employing strategies that demonstrated both courage and tactical acumen. The tide of battle turned, and within days the English were forced to retreat. The victory at Orléans was not just a military success, it was a powerful symbol of hope for the French people, a testament to the belief that their fortunes could change. Following the triumph at Orléans, Joan continued to press forward, leading Charles VII to Reims for his coronation. The journey was fraught with challenges, but Joan's resolve never wavered. The coronation itself was a moment steeped in significance, as Charles was crowned king in the presence of Joan, the girl who had risen from obscurity to become a pivotal figure in the restoration of the French monarchy. The ceremony was a celebration of not just Charles's ascendance, but of Joan's belief that she had fulfilled her divine mission. As she knelt before the newly crowned king, her heart swelled with a sense of accomplishment. She had changed the course of history. However, the tides of fortune would not remain in Joan's favor for long. After the coronation, the war continued, and the English were far from defeated. Joan's next campaign, aimed at capturing Paris, faced significant challenges. The French forces were met with fierce resistance, and the initial momentum began to falter. In the face of setbacks, Joan's faith remained steadfast, but the realities of war were brutal and unforgiving. During a skirmish outside Paris, she was wounded, and her troops, disheartened by the lack of progress, began to question her leadership. In May 1430, while attempting to relieve the besieged city of Compiègne, Joan was captured by the Burgundians, allies of the English. Her capture marked a turning point in her life and in the war. The once unstoppable force of nature was now a prisoner, bound and shackled. The news of her capture sent shockwaves through France. Joan had become a symbol of hope, and her fall from grace was a devastating blow to the morale of the French people. The circumstances of her capture were tragic, but the trials that followed were even more harrowing. Joan was handed over to the English and subjected to a politically motivated trial. The charges against her were numerous, ranging from heresy to witchcraft. The trial was a farce, conducted by a church court that sought to discredit her and undermine her impact. Despite the overwhelming evidence of her bravery and faith, Joan was portrayed as a delusional girl who had acted against the interests of the church and the English crown. Throughout the trial, Joan displayed remarkable courage. She defended herself with intelligence and poise, refusing to recant her beliefs or deny her visions. She spoke of her divine mission and her unwavering faith in God, even in the face of death. The court, however, was determined to break her spirit. They used her own words against her, twisting her claims and exploiting her vulnerabilities. The trial dragged on for months, and the pressure mounted as the English sought to make an example of her. In May 1431, Joan was found guilty and sentenced to death. On May 30th, she was burned at the stake in Rouen, a martyr to her cause and a symbol of defiance against oppression. As the flames engulfed her, witnesses reported that she called out the names of Jesus and Mary, her faith unshaken even in her final moments. Joan's death sent ripples through France and beyond. The nation mourned the loss of their heroine, and her legacy began to take shape. In the years following her execution, the tide of the 100 Years' War began to turn in favor of the French. Charles VII, emboldened by Joan's earlier victories, rallied his forces and ultimately reclaimed much of the territory lost to the English. The French people, inspired by Joan's bravery and sacrifice, united in their struggle for independence. Her martyrdom became a rallying cry, and she was posthumously exonerated by the Church in 1456, a testament to her unwavering faith and the injustice she had suffered. Joan of Arc's legacy transcended the boundaries of time and geography. She became a symbol of courage, faith, and the indomitable spirit of a nation. In the centuries that followed, she was celebrated in literature, art, and popular culture as the embodiment of the fight against tyranny and oppression. Her story inspired countless individuals to stand up for their beliefs, to fight for justice, and to embrace their convictions no matter the cost. In 1920, Joan was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church, a recognition of her unwavering faith and the profound impact she had on history. Today, she stands as a figure of inspiration for many, a reminder that one person's conviction can change the course of history. Her life, marked by visions of divine purpose, military leadership, and ultimate sacrifice, continues to resonate with those who seek to understand the complexities of faith, bravery, and the human spirit. Joan of Arc was not merely a historical figure, she was a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of belief, and a symbol of the resilience of the human spirit. Her journey from the fields of Domremy to the flames of Rouen is a narrative that transcends time, inviting each generation to reflect on the nature of courage and the impact of one life dedicated to a cause greater than oneself. In a world often fraught with uncertainty and despair, her story remains a powerful reminder that faith can inspire greatness, and that even in the darkest of times, the light of conviction can illuminate the path to change.